everybody. It's so nice to see you in 2023. I just want to say that it meant so much to me that a number of you were like, where are the live streams? We missed the live streams, because I've missed you too. But I don't want to waste your time. So that's why I haven't had any live streams earlier this week, because there was nothing going on. But I'll take this Variety article, particularly because I was a little frustrated with the way the conversation was evolving online. I was like, this needs some clarification. So I'm happy to do it. It's so nice to see so many of you. Stephen, I'm glad you made the live stream. Let me welcome some people back and some new members. Alex, Ryan, welcome. Welcome back. Lukewarm, welcome back. Sierra, oh, that's a nice picture of you, Sierra. Thanks for joining. Utah Stevens, thank you for joining. That's a great name. I shall meet you at the monorail. Diamond member, welcome back. I love the monorail. I assume you're talking about the Disney monorail, which is just so wonderful. Let's see here. Tay, thank you for joining. And then also Kevin Alanis. I see that you just joined. Thank you so much. It's so nice to see everybody. Before we get to this, hey CJ, I ran into CJ in the street in New York City the other day, right before New Year's, actually, I think it was. Hey, Dancing Dog 60, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. You're always so generous. That's so kind of you. All right, yes, it was a rare grace sighting. Hey, Danny Boyd, you're on set. That's awesome. That's so cool. All right, hey, Aaron. Yep, we're going to talk about some, look, 80s model matched with another 5 memberships. You know, Dancing Dog 60 and 80s model are 2 of the most generous members of the BTT community. They're always gifting memberships. They inspire me to donate, and as soon as I can have that capability, which YouTube said they're working on, I will be gifting memberships every once in a while as well. Hey, Chadwick, thanks for joining. Is that your dog? Hey, Bison, thank you for joining. Yes, CJ, yes, that was a fun run-in. Thank you for stopping me. I'm glad that you did. All right, so a couple of things before we get to the DC stuff, right? So I did see that Avatar has surpassed Top Gun Maverick to be the highest grossing movie of the year and is about to surpass The Avengers to be the 9th highest grossing movie of all time. Hey, Jason Woods, welcome back. So I have seen that, and we'll discuss that on Movie Math on Sunday. But let's see how high it gets by Sunday. It's climbing every day. It's climbing every day. I missed you too, Nishan. Then also, hey, Jerry, welcome back. I wanted to say I'm so happy to see that Jeremy Renner is doing better. Thanks, Jose. I saw right before we went live, I saw that Jeremy Renner posted an adorable video of himself getting a scalp massage after a rough day in the ICU from his sister. And I thought that was really charming. I think that's wonderful for him to let people in like that to his recovery process. And I'm glad that he is having a recovery process. So I'm very happy for Jeremy Renner. And I'm thrilled for Damar Hamlin, who isn't quite as far along in his recovery, but apparently today he is awake, and he does seem to not have any neurological impairment, which is, I think, something everybody was worried about. By the way, I don't know if you've heard of this, but Damar Hamlin had a toy drive that he had going, and everybody started donating that to show their support for him. And I remember reading that the night of his incident, Monday night. And I was like, oh, isn't that wonderful? And I was like, oh, don't just say it's wonderful, Grace. Donate. And I did it anonymously. I don't like having my name out there sometimes in some capacities, but I gave $20. And because I was like, it's like, what it reminded me of, actually? It reminded me of the end of It's a Wonderful Life. And everybody just puts a little bit of money into the basket to help somebody out. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to give $20. So that's all I gave to Damar Hamlin's toy drive. But I think that it's really how many people do it, which is what's important. And now, when I donated, he was a little over $1 million when I donated. And as of today, his toy drive is over $6 million to help his community. And I thought that was incredible. And I love that his uncle said very few people get to find out how much they're loved while they're alive. And so he's hopeful that when Damar recovers, he said this a few days ago, that Damar will see how loved he is. So I think that's just beautiful. So I would urge you, if you have a couple bucks to spend, I know it's right after the holidays, but I think any amount helps. Go over to Damar Hamlin, just Google Damar Hamlin Toy Drive, and, give a couple of dollars to help out that community. I think it's a really beautiful thing. And it'll be so nice for Damar when he wakes up. Hey, Queer Culture, thanks for joining. Thank you, Fifi. I appreciate that. I really do try to be supportive of the LGBT community. We have a lot to discuss with The Last of Us. Let's see here. Kayla says, you were right, Sam. Sam Worthington's acting in Avatar is very wooden. That's true. It's true. And Caitlin says more than $7 million has been donated to Damar Hamlin now. Isn't that wonderful? Hey, Dom, welcome back. Fabi, hey, thanks for joining. And Subicio, I know your picture and I know your name from Twitter. Subesiso, I tweet with you all the time. It's so nice to see you finally become a member. All right, so the other thing also I wanted to talk about is Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista made a lot of news yesterday. He was like talking smack about The Rock. He was talking smack about Drax. And at first I thought his comments reminded me of David Schwimmer, who said he did not want to be known as Ross for the rest of his life. It's like, how would you like to not be known at all, David Schwimmer? You know, a lot of working actors would kill for that kind of a situation. But, you know, I thought about it, and then also a friend of mine is very excited for Knock at the Cabin, which totally changed my opinion on that movie. My friend was like, I already have my ticket. And I was like, really? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get on board this party train. And Dave Bautista, of course, is the star of that movie. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, the problem with what Dave Bautista wants is that he wants to be known as a serious actor, but he wants somebody else to do that for him. If he wants to be a really successful dramatic actor, he needs to go and find his own project. He needs to produce it. He needs to look for that script himself and cast himself. He needs to be the one person in the room that believes in him. I love Dave Bautista in glasses, Mika, I will admit. I don't think he's a great actor, but he has impressed me in the Denis Villeneuve projects. And he said one thing where he said, if I were number one on the call sheet for a Denis Villeneuve movie, and if you don't know what that means, number one on the call sheet means you're the star of the movie. You're the most important actor. And he was like, I do it for free. And I was like, you can make up any scenario you want, Dave, because that would be a dream. That would not be reality. That would never actually happen, that you would be number one on a Denis Villeneuve movie. But you know what? If he found the right script, maybe he would be. But no one's going to do it for Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista needs to do it for himself. And I would say he keeps thinking of The Rock as a comparison. I think he should compare himself to Sylvester Stallone, who did a wonderful job, not only first giving himself a career by writing Rocky, but then later on he changed his career with Copland. You know, that as well. So it can be done. But Dave Bautista needs to do it himself. And so he's not going to have a magic fairy godfather like James Gunn or Denis Villeneuve come along and give him what he wants. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, here we go. One big boop for today. Boop, baby. This is the story. We're going to talk about the Variety article that you see right there that came out yesterday. Now, it came from Tatiana Siegel. That's a name you might be familiar with. Ray Fisher has talked about her a lot, and that's all that I'll say on the matter. Because I don't want to throw no shade like Bautista, all right? I don't want to get into fights. But I will say that the trades have had a rough couple of months, I think, with their credibility not being as rock solid as it once was. I'm glad you got a free membership, Huckleberry. I'm glad. That's great. We're going to go over the full article, Patrick. Hey, Amy. So I think that the trades have revealed themselves in the past couple of months to be a little bit mercenary. That talent or a studio can, kind of put out stories through them. And so it used to be, hey, Billy Zane is Lex Luthor. That would be horrible. I don't agree with you, with all due respect. Hey, Jose. So anyway, I feel that it used to be if it showed up in a trade, you knew that for sure it was true. But now it seems like the trades are just like anybody, although they're a little bit more invested. They have a little bit more to lose. They have connections. They want to keep those connections. So I don't know why they would do that to themselves, because the one thing they had going for them is that, they had that kind of legitimacy. But I think they kind of got rid of it in the past couple of months, at least in some areas. They still are like the foundation of media reporting, I guess, because they're such famous names. But they're all owned by the same company, by the way, which I still continue to feel is a monopoly. But yeah, I feel it's been a bad couple of weeks for them, and they shouldn't have, and for what? Why trade that in? Mark Burns says Blade Runner sequel was a good start to get Hollywood to take him seriously. I agree, but he had no lines. And movies, hey, Movie Sports, that's very kind of you. Please try to keep your comments, although you were talking about something that we just did with Dave Bautista, but please try to keep your comments as to what we're discussing. Don't worry, the final 10 minutes of the stream, you can ask me anything that you would like. All right, so when this article came out yesterday, James Gunn did have a few responses, which we're going to go over, but also James Gunn did not directly call out Tatiana Siegel the way he did, I think it was Adam B. Very, right, the other day. And so he's learning. Let me see how, is that better? I think the other one's maybe a little bit too bright. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, so I think he's learning. He didn't directly call out Variety, right? But there was some response. He did respond a little bit. So we're going to go over those first, because I don't want you to be, some of you feel this is too dark. Lukewarm, you're making me hungry. Are you guys okay with this level of lighting, or do you like it back with a brighter one? Oh, you don't like it? Okay. Hey, Tiff. Welcome back. Oh, Alexander was with me. All right, so we'll stick with the bright. Retinas. Okay. That's very kind of you, Philip. All right, so let's go over James Gunn's responses, because I don't want anyone to be like, but he said it was all not true. All right, so the first response, hold on. So somebody ran a story, and they said, Variety reports that Wonder Woman will not appear in the first 3 years of the DCEU or DCU at all. And, a lot of James Gunn's fans egg him on, so he has to control himself and not allow this to happen. Someone's like, please debunk this one. Although I think they're probably a Wonder Woman fan that feels bad about it. But again, remember, James Gunn is very tricky. He's very tricky in the way he phrases things. So he says, I hereby debunk it, only because it's not true. But nowhere is Gal Gadot mentioned in this exchange. So it's no clarification as to whether or not Gal Gadot is going to stick around. So I feel like that's kind of like the loophole that's being hidden in here. Movie Sports says, do you think James Gunn is using the Flash movie to restart the DC universe? So that's why, well, we'll talk about Ezra Miller. I think the jury is out on Ezra Miller, and I'll explain why. All right. But as for this reference, this exchange from James Gunn, I wish someone would ask him directly, or let's see if he would respond. If you want to play that game, I feel let James Gunn just make his announcement in the next couple. He's going to make an announcement this month, right? So I think we can wait a little bit. Although I guess Variety did start it. But there was no specification about Gal Gadot. So I think that this just to me seems like a smokescreen. Hey, Adam, all this means to me is that some Wonder Woman will be showing up. All right. Then the other response was someone said, okay, well, can you discuss at all the report from Variety in regards to Ezra Miller, the notion that your slate is only 3 years worth of projects, right? So look at this. Look at this beautiful bit of sidestepping. He says, I don't know what's out there about Ezra. Are you kidding me? Nobody is as plugged in as James Gunn when it comes to Hollywood. I mean, he is fan level plugged in. It took him 2 seconds to see the Variety article. I'm sure he did see it. And so he's like, oh, is there like some kind of article out there? That's weird. I haven't seen it. I don't blame him. I'd play the same game if I were in his shoes. He's like, that's weird. What are people saying? I haven't heard it. So then he goes, but our slate is 8 to 10 years, but we will only be announcing some of the projects this month. 8 to 10 years goes beyond his contract. I don't know if that's a good idea. Kevin Feige certainly didn't have an 8 to 10 year plan when he started out. But let's see. Let's see. I have to see what the plan looks like before I can decide whether or not I think it's any good. But yeah, he totally sidestepped that article. He was like, oh, weird. There's somebody writing about Variety. Welcome back, Adam. Anthony Garcia, thank you for joining. Justin Simpson, thank you for joining. So, all right. So that's what I think of James. I think that James Gunn, he's moving away from this kind of interaction, quite frankly, and I'm glad that he is. But you should stop asking him to debunk and clarify and stuff, because he's not. Leave him alone. Don't try. If you're a fan of James Gunn, you're not helping him. You're potentially allowing him to back himself into a corner. Just let him, he's going to give you stuff this month. And it's going to be great. I'm very excited to cover it. I hope so. If Batmite's in there, I'm not going to believe it. I will say So we're going to go over the article very much in a moment, okay? You guys like let him cook. But he's not cooking anymore. He's he's just like maybe a Salt Bay, sprinkling a little salt on it. So anyway, we're going to go over the full article in just a moment, but I do want to say that everybody looks great. I think Ezra Miller looks great in the costume, and Gal Gadot sure looks incredible. I mean, she just looks so good. It's such a shame that this didn't work out. But I will say, Galliot Productions has just released the Bloody Slate. They're going to do it, but they're not going to do. You can't announce 8 to 10 years because things will be adjusted according to what audiences react to. What their reaction is. So he's never going to give out his whole slate. So he's just going to show you what like the first round is, which is I totally agree with. But anyway, if it's not a complete reboot, the thing's dead in the water, in my opinion. Let me do a poll. Let's do a poll. I love the toys that I've been given. All right. When it comes to... by the way, I keep putting Peter Safran's picture in here. I don't know who the hell Peter Safran is. Peter Safran's like, I don't want anything with this. I don't want anything to do with this. Like, where are you, Peter Safran? Are you co-head of this or not? I hope he's at the announcement. Okay, when it comes to Gunn and Safran's, I'm going to stop including Safran if he doesn't start speaking up. DC's slate, what do you want? We'll do partial reboot, full reboot. Let's just do 2 options. Okay, there you go. So you can vote in that. Brody Rule says, Grace, when do you realistically think Gunn's slate will start? 2025? I don't know. Maybe he can come up with some small projects that can go faster. Shashank says the Ezra stuff is just to save $300 million invested in the Flash. No one at Warner Brothers wants a bomb. I would agree with that to some degree. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, so let's go through this article. I am fully in the full reboot camp. If it's not a full reboot, they shouldn't even bother, quite frankly. I think we're going to just be waiting for another restart. It's going to be ridiculous. Because you know what? The fans will never get over it who didn't get who they wanted. And they'll forever be upset. So why do that? Hey, Sob Sister, that's a great name. Hey, Chatty J, welcome. Thanks for joining. And Sob Sister, welcome back. All right. I like that Keith's like, who said that? Media Lover says, I want a partial, but it needs to be full. I respect you for separating what you want versus what needs to be done. And I hope that James Gunn, he passed the first test. He passed the get rid of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck test. And I was very impressed with that because I think few people would have passed that test, but he did. And this is his second test. If he doesn't, he will have, quote, Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, chosen poorly, and have a similar outcome to drinking from the wrong cup. All right, so Tatiana Siegel wrote an article about really basically a hit job on Dwayne Johnson. Like, what did Dwayne Johnson do to deserve this? He already kindly bowed out. He took his lumps. He said, you know what? As he said to me, he said, you win some, you lose some. As I had, you guys to say, I said to say that the day before, and then he said it the day after. And I'm like, some of you think it's a coincidence, some don't. Hey, Joshua Gray, you're going to love this season too. But yeah, so I'm like, well, just leave Dwayne Johnson alone. Like he already said didn't work out. That's kind of sucky for me, but peace out, everybody. Nothing but love. And then Tatiana Siegel is like, oh, look at this loser. And you're like, what? Why? Leave him alone. All right, so this whole article, and then she snuck in some other DC nuggets. And by the way, she took out the Wonder Woman thing. She took out the Wonder Woman thing after James Gunn's tweet, or editorial did, because in the original version of the article, they said there was going to be no Wonder Woman in the first 3-year interconnected vision. But then they're just like, there's not going to be any Wonder Woman or Henry. They just said Henry Cavill's Superman and no Wonder Woman in general. I believe there will be a different Wonder Woman. That would be my educated guess based on what I know about the industry, what I'm hearing, stuff like that. But let's see. And also, I do feel that, well, I'll say something a little bit early. I feel a lot of the future of these actors depends on whether or not you pay to see them at the box office. You didn't pay to see Henry Cavill's cameo. He's out of here. Are you going to go pay to see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and Shazam 2? If not, she's out of here. You know, are you going to pay and see The Flash? If not, Ezra's out of here. But if you pay to see these people, then I think there's a good chance they might sit. So keep that in mind. You know, you can tweet all you want. I think that's a good lesson here to take away for all DC fans. You can tweet, fine. But if you really want to save these people's careers, pay to see their movies. And it's not even that much money. Go on a Tuesday or something. I've never even heard of Wolfgang Novogratz. I've never heard of that actor even. So, but we'll see. All right. So anyway, so she snuck in a bunch of other stuff. And she took out the Wonder Woman stuff, though, after James Gunn's tweet. All right, so let's go first over the Dwayne Johnson stuff. And it was a little bit frustrating for me because I already reported this to you. And so I was a little annoyed that some people were like, what? I'm like, I've been telling you forever that Dwayne Johnson was trying to take over DC. But we did get some details, all right? So although this is such an aggressive article against Dwayne Johnson, I think you should take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. And I can't confirm it because I didn't particularly hear these details from any of my sources. I'm glad you could join, Super Rooter from Australia. Mika, yes, buy the whole theater, do it. And then Jerry J says, Grace, is it possible people didn't like Johnson trying to position Black Adam as the all-powerful? They wouldn't have cared if it made money. Let me tell you, I don't think there are a lot of DC fans working at the Warner Brothers executive level. They're not like, man, that's not cool. Black Adam doesn't do that. They don't care. They want to make money. They want their stock to go up. So that's all they care about. If you can sell a lot of box office tickets, which therefore makes the stock go up, that's all they care about. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And that's why Dwayne Johnson lost. Dwayne Johnson would have taken over DC if Black Adam had done well. But it wasn't. It did not do well. So apparently, based on this article, the people that Dwayne Johnson wanted to take over DC were his ex-brother-in-law and current business partner, Hiram Garcia, and Beau Flynn, who is one of the producers that he works with at his $7 production company. So that was the angle that he was trying to go in. Now, also this article said that Dwayne Johnson, quote unquote, went around everyone and that upset and ruffled a few feathers. Who cares? All those people are on the way out. He didn't go around the people who are now the heads. He went to David Zaslav, and he went to Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi. So who cares if Toby Emmerich is upset? Oh, that's just one more thing for Toby Emmerich to be angry about. Hey, Callipy. So I feel that, it's tough when you're down. Everybody kind of jumps ship. And so I feel like this is kind of like people rewriting history on poor Dwayne Johnson. They're like, oh, and then he went around people and went behind their backs. And you're like, he did what he needed to do and he got it done. The real problem is that nobody went. Black Adam is pretty bad, Sockley. I tried to rewatch it. I was looking for something to watch with family over the holiday, and they were like, well, let's try Black Adam. And we couldn't finish it. They hadn't seen it. And we watched that cool sequence, which is the Quicksilver ripoff sequence. And my family was like, that was pretty cool. And I was like, that's good. But I got to tell you, it never gets any different than this. What you've seen so far is all you're going to say. You know what was interesting? My family forgot they were watching a Dwayne Johnson movie because it took them so long to show up. They were like, oh yeah, we're watching a Dwayne Johnson movie. And it was funny to watch Black Adam with people who aren't fans and aren't super plugged into the industry and comic books. Because, I was like, oh yeah, maybe Dwayne Johnson should have showed up a lot earlier in this movie and maybe it would have done better. So that was really interesting to me. Danny says, hey Grace, do you think DC needs to use the Batman as the I think so for sure, but they won't do it because Matt Reeves won't let them. Hey, Steven, I bet you, though, I'm really excited for them to cast Superman, and I'm going to put his picture next to Robert Pattinson, and I bet you it's a match. I bet you it's a match. Jack says, my partner Jake and I are happy to catch a stream from rainy England. Oh, hello to both of you. That's so nice. I like your picture. You got a little pop collar action going on there, it looks like. All right. Thank you, Ryan. And then Saito says, money is the great conqueror. Marvel showed it with DC fails to do so. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Twice as bright. Welcome back, Simon. Jennifer Coolidge for Wonder Woman. That'd be funny. All right. So the other thing. So they had a couple of other really petty slams at poor Dwayne Johnson. So they also said he insisted that he be a producer on Super Pets. What was that about? And you're like, people get producing credits, vanity producing credits all the time. Hey, Tech Noir Video, welcome back. So what's wrong with that? And then this was my favorite petty swipe because I thought it was ridiculous. They were like, and then guess what else he did? Then Dwayne Johnson insisted that they have a Terramana tequila bar at the Black Adam premiere in New York City, even though it was a PG-13 movie. Can you believe it, guy? And you're like, first off, let me tell you, I was at that premiere. There wasn't a child in sight. Let him serve his Terramana tequila. What do you care? I mean, that's just so ridiculous to me that they were like upset about that. Like, it's like what? It was like, and I saw it, by the way. It was like a little table at the AMC Empire 25 with one bartender. There were Terramana signs everywhere, and he wasn't like giving opening speeches to the movie, being like, by the way, go get some Terramana tequila after this movie. You know, it's like, what's wrong with that? I mean, I thought that was perfectly fine. You know, again, if the movie had made money, we wouldn't be having any of this. And I have to say, a lot of this, you know, talking smack about people out of turn is really unprofessional. You know, like, it's just not appropriate. And it really only happens with Warner Brothers. So I think that's another reason I think people are going to be a little nervous to get involved with the studio because you know, what goes around comes around. If you talk smack about, you know, these people, who's to say someone's not going to say something petty about you? So I just feel it was bad form. And then the article also said that Cavill had parted. This is ridiculous. Yes, by the way, Terramana is Dwayne Johnson's tequila brand. So then they said Cavill parted ways with Garcia as his manager, but she's still advising his career. Why would she? For no money? Danny Garcia is running a charity operation for Henry Cavill. She's like, it's fine that I'm not your manager anymore. I no longer get a percentage of your paycheck, but let me still give you career advice. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. So I thought that was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that was all in the article. And by the way, that also made Dwayne Johnson look bad because Dwayne Johnson said just a few weeks ago that it was categorically untrue that Henry Cavill had parted ways with Danny Garcia. So that, and then saying he, you know, put out fake numbers for Black Adam's box office, which he kind of did. But I mean, come on, man. I think let's just wrap this up. You know, Black Adam's done. It's like, it's over. You know, like, let's just, like, it's like, as you guys are saying, stop kicking him. He's dead. Just let him go off and do his other stuff. I told you, every single person who becomes involved with DC regrets it. I've never seen it happen as fast as it did to Dwayne Johnson. It was like a whiplash. How fast everything turned on him. And, you know, I think, as I told you, though, James Gunn had no other plays. So I think he was right to take this. But let's see. I look forward to the day when joining DC does not ultimately lead to a horrible situation. Let's hope that's the case. Kevin, if Dwayne Johnson had taken over instead of Gunn, I told you what was going to happen. He was going to do a big, Suicide Squad and Justice League versus Black Adam. It would be a big fight thing. And I think that would have been actually pretty good. But I don't know. I mean, Black Adam was pretty bad, so I think quality was a question. All right, so let's look at the poll before we move on to the Ezra Miller stuff. All right, and the poll. It was a real bloodbath here. As you can see, come on. Okay, like so, 2,000 votes. 82% of you want a full reboot. So I really feel that if they don't do a full reboot, and Marcus, I'm glad you made it. If they don't do a full reboot, they're wasting all of our time. They're wasting money, they're wasting resources, and they're wasting our time. It'll never, ever work. So let's see. I think that is the final test. I guess that's the second to last test. And then, of course, the other test will be whether or not these movies are any good. All right, so let's talk about Ezra Miller. So they also said that the executives are open to Ezra Miller sticking around as the Flash because since he got help, there have been no more incidents. Now, as we've been discussing, because, you know, this has been going on for a while, Ezra Miller really hit rock bottom emotionally and mentally because somebody he knew close to him had committed suicide. So that certainly does not excuse his violent behavior and some of the other accusations that have been made against him, which are pretty bad. Hey, Danny Boyd, it's like another thing. That's the other thing. Like, if you change your ways, does that mean you don't have to have any repercussions for the bad things that you did? You know, I mean, that would be news to the legal system. You know, like, I think that there are some incidents, there are some questions about Ezra Miller's behavior that are quite serious, particularly with underage individuals. Danny Boyd says that the trade's not paying good writers anymore. Our production's relying on social media to be the publicists. Oh, Danny, I do understand your question, but I don't want to talk about the trades in that regard. I feel that's like a little bit too aggressive on my part. I think I said what I wanted to say about the trades at the beginning of the stream. So, but I mean, at least there haven't been any more incidents, right? So, that's funny, Brendan. So, here's the thing, though. The movie hasn't come out yet, and it doesn't come out for a couple of months. So, I honestly believe that there's a couple of things going on here. First off, they're not going to say Ezra Miller is out before their multi-million-dollar picture is released. Like, there's no way. So, I'm not going to do a poll because I don't think that... Okay, all right, I'll do a poll since so many of you want a poll. All right, let's see. Should Ezra stay as the Flash? Hold on. We'll do absolutely not. I'm open to it. And then a third option of I need to see the Flash. Oh, we'll do one more. I'm not sure, but I'm uncomfortable. Which I feel might be my answer. Like, oh, I'd like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I'm pretty uncomfortable about keeping someone like this around. That's kind of how I feel. Hanzo says, do you think any of the Suicide Squad cast will stay? I feel James Gunn one. I feel like that's going to trip him up. But I think, honestly, if he tries to keep anyone from there, he might as well just go home. Shashank says the best way to move forward is to do Superman 1 and then introduce Lex Luthor in the Batman sequel and combine them. And so I like that plan a lot, but they're not going to do that. The Real Mary Rose, welcome back. Xtina, hey, says, I'm sorry, but if Amber Heard gets fired and villainized for her actions in a personal relationship, so should Ezra. That's an excellent point. She hasn't been fired, though. And then she's just been whittled down to 10 minutes. And Kevin Cisnero says, personally, he was never the Barry Allen I needed him to be, and his running looked a little weird. It did. I heard that was all Ezra. Jojo Bell says, full reboot means everyone is out. That's what a full reboot means for sure. All right, so... Not only has The Flash not been released yet, so that's a big element, The Flash not being released, so they certainly don't want to, undercut the film before it comes out. But The Flash also has, thank you, Miller, for reminding me about Ezra's pronouns. The Flash also has extremely high test scores, as Mika just pointed out. It's testing in the 80s. That is highly unusual for a movie to test that high. Batgirl and Black Adam both tested, I believe, in the 50s. So it's 30 points higher. That's incredible. So that means the movie's actually pretty darn good. Hey, Ernesto. So I think that they're probably like, maybe we can make this work. So at the end of the day, you know what's going to decide what happens to Ezra Miller? The box office. You are going to decide what happens to Ezra Miller, whether or not you pay to see The Flash. And then, also, I think, what are all these releases going to look like? Because I heard I got a little bit of a tip today that Warner Brothers Discovery is pulling back on Magic Mike's release because they can't afford to release it properly. So it's going to be a little bit of a smaller release than originally anticipated. But they are spending the money on the Super Bowl spot for The Flash. And let me tell you, they haven't advertised in the Super Bowl for years. They had a little spot last year because Dwayne Johnson made him do it, and then they had just embarrassed themselves because none of those movies came out. They were like, it's the year of the superhero. Oh, psych! No, it's not. But it's very unusual for Warner Brothers to get a Super Bowl spot. Yet here they are for The Flash. That is a huge show of confidence in the film. But we'll see. But Warner Brothers Discovery has not only is Warner Brothers Discovery very confident in The Flash, but they also are very cash poor. So that's going to affect how any of these movies are marketed. Jeremiah Rivera, who has a very appropriate avatar picture for today, is Universal still interested in Warner Brothers Discovery? I think they've been interested in Warner Brothers. They wouldn't buy Discovery, I don't believe. Maybe. David Zaslav actually used to work at NBC. But they are interested in Warner Brothers, and they have been for quite some time, even before AT&T purchased them. But Discovery cannot even begin to discuss selling Warner Brothers until 2024 legally. So let's see how. Either Warner Brothers Discovery will make Warner Brothers in better shape, so that it's more likely that someone wants to purchase it, or they'll run it into the ground and it becomes very cheap to purchase, or they'll run it so into the ground it's not worth purchasing. We'll see what happens. Tech Noir Video says, where'd that go? Would love more Keaton Batman. I'm interested to see him come back. And then Kate, thank you for joining. Holden Stamper, welcome back. Alwatch says, would Christina Hodson stay if The Flash does well? I hope not. I don't know why she kept getting work over there, quite frankly. And Bruce Wayne says, if they keep Ezra Miller, then white male privilege in Hollywood still has a strong influence. That's going to be a rough narrative for them. They don't need that. All right, let's look at this poll, and then you can ask me anything you'd like because we've gone over everything that was in the article. All right, so I'll end the poll. Wow, that is an interesting result. 66% of you think absolutely not that he should come back. And then 14% are with me. I'm not sure, but I'm uncomfortable. 12% need to see The Flash, but only 7%, that's a very small percentage, are open to Ezra Miller coming back. So it's really going to be up. I know that a number of you say that you don't want him to come back, but it's going to totally rely on how the film does at the box office. At the end of the day, that will be the deciding factor. And let's see. Again, it tested extremely well. It Will Be Okay says, it comes down to Ezra being younger and attractive, but he committed more crimes than Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer. I don't think that's true. And also the crimes allegedly, because none of them have been convicted in court, I don't believe, but the crimes that Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer committed are incredibly egregious, very egregious. Laughing Vampire says they kicked Depp for allegations, kicked Cavill while being legal, and they're keeping Miller, that I'm boycotting Warner Brothers in all movies. I can see why you would be upset about that. It does seem weird that they would keep. That is weird. I think particularly with the Depp situation. That's weird. Haunted Autumn says supporting The Flash is supporting old Hollywood modus operandi of ignoring bad behavior. You know, that's interesting that you say that, Haunted Autumn, because for a while, remember what it took for them to finally get rid of whitewashing characters in historical biopics in particular? Remember it was that Egypt movie from Ridley Scott. I remember it so well, with Joel Edgerton and Christian Bale as Moses and his brother the Pharaoh. And for the whole time Hollywood's been around, it's been fine to do that. But with that movie, audiences suddenly were like, these people come from ancient Egypt. Are you kidding me? And no one went to see it. And that's when Hollywood stopped doing that. It was also Gods of Egypt came out around the same time, and it was the same situation. And so Hollywood finally stopped doing that. And I think that you're going to have the same situation here. You know, Hollywood will keep letting people get Exodus. Thank you. Hollywood will keep letting people get away with this if you keep paying to see it. So that's the issue. If The Flash bombs, it will mean that, you know, that this stuff can't continue. Jay Garcia says, hey, Grace, are there instances where the movie tests great but does poorly on box office? Oh, thank you for the kind words. Not that I know of off the top of my head. I'm sure it's happened sometimes because other things factor a movie's box office. But 80 is very high. In the 80s is very high. Sean Turner says, thoughts on Aaron Johnson's rumors being true? Horrible idea. I think they couldn't pick a worse James Bond than Aaron Taylor Johnson. So let's see if they do that. Honestly, it'll completely knock out any of right now, James Bond's fandom is mostly older dudes. That's who mostly likes James Bond at this point, and like cinephiles, like you and me. But the core audience is like older dudes, and they are not going to like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He is the antithesis of older dudes. And maybe that's what they think they're looking for. Maybe they're like, oh, I think the name of the game, just ask Kathleen Kennedy, is to make sure that you keep your core fandom happy and then build on that instead of rejecting your core fandom and saying, see ya, you're not big enough, and going after a new fandom that you think is going to solve all your problems and never does. Paul Brunel says, how vital is comics accuracy for a film's success? I think very. Have a good time at work, awesomely authentic. Danny Boyd, I don't think they're making Michael B. Jordan's Superman. Gigi says, unfortunately, a lot of people have no idea about the situation. So if this movie is good as people say, people will see. No, I don't think so, Gigi. People might not know about it now, but you better believe when they start advertising The Flash and the trailer starts coming out, then all the major, like more mainstream publications like People Magazine and TMZ and stuff like that, they'll start covering it because it's too juicy clickbait. There's, so they're definitely going to cover it. Sockley says, does the reboot include Joaquin Phoenix's Joker? No, Robert Pattinson and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker are outside of the DCEU. So let's see here. Sam Shugart says, a Flash, let's see here. A TV, Flash, and Superman, 3 Batman, DC has to rectify. Yes, they said James Gunn promised he was going to do one connected space. So he better, because that's what he said he was going to do. Wade Chadwick says, girls have been watching Bond for decades. Well, where are you getting that from, Wade? I mean, I can see the audience demos when they come out, when the movie releases. It's not female-centric. I'm sure you know some women who go, but I would not describe it that way at all, with all due respect. Hey, Pedro, welcome back. Subasicio says, but Grace, how will they know if it's Ezra's backlash or the actual movie being the reason for low box office? Or does it not matter? Well, you'll know based on reviews. If the movie's well reviewed, and also, this could be another situation. All the reviewers could say, it's a good movie, but I can't condone a film that has Ezra Miller as the star. So they're going to have to just kind of get a snapshot as to why the movie isn't working. And you'll get a good idea of that based on the reviews. And, they poll people and stuff like that. You don't get to see those results, but a lot of times they will poll people the first weekend, and this isn't released to the public, and they'll say, what did you like about the movie? Why did you go see it? Who was your favorite character? To get some idea on that. Damani says, if a full reboot is announced this month and soon, and The Flash, where'd that go? And The Flash is released in June, how can they keep Ezra? I think I think they are hindered by the fact they have these movies still coming out. And I would have just dumped them all on HBO Max, quite frankly. Let's just see. Let's see what they decide to do. But I think maybe they'll just focus on new movies that are in their own little spaces, and then the other stuff will just fade away. It's really they've put themselves in a very bad situation. I wish they would just take a break like Star Wars did and then start fresh. Capes and Tights says, Viola Davis is the only one I want to stay. I respect that, and I love Viola Davis, but everybody's got to go. That one Moody guy says, I'm supposed to be doing homework for college. That's hashtag worth it. That's great. Dancing Dog 60 says, Grace, do you think playing a superhero can be a curse like Adam West and George Reeves? They seem to have played Superman and Batman in the past. No, I don't think so. There is supposed to be a Superman curse. But, other people are doing okay. Everyone who works at Marvel seems fine. Let's see here. Sam says, is the Penguin show not going to come out? I've heard they're it's going to come out, but that's because that's part of the Batman space. And an Oakland Sir says, that's a nice picture of you. I like how it's off-center. That's very artistic of you. I love it. Grace, I went to see Avatar 2 in 3D Atmos at Studio One here in Portland. It was great, and Studio One is great as well. Ate an omelet during it. Oh, that's fantastic. That's very funny. I love it. I've never heard of a movie theater omelet before. I'm glad it was good. Danny Boyd says Henry Golding Bond. Maybe. Let's see who they decide to go with. Anyone would be better than Aaron Taylor Johnson. Literally anyone. Stick figure. World of Devon says, Grace, do you think Ryan Coogler's, what he said on Twitter, he will keep making Black Panther movies as long as people want him to do so? And I did not see what Ryan Coogler said on Twitter, so it's hard for me to comment on that. I think it would benefit Ryan Coogler to take a small break from Black Panther, quite frankly. And I think it would be great. By Newswriter 22, I think it would be good for him to go and make something else, quite frankly. Lewis Cook says, with Warner Brothers' money problems, what other movies of theirs do you think will not get a proper release? It sounds like maybe everything but The Flash. They just can't afford it. Technor Video says, what if Warner Brothers pulls a Judi Dench with some Judi Dench's M with some characters? What does that mean? They kill him off? Hey, Webster, welcome back. Sam says, I love the Reeves world so much, but if it isn't tied into Gunn's plans, I see no reason to put more money into it anymore. It's not distinct enough to be called... Well, it's just... Sam, you must not be a Batman fan, because it's incredible. It definitely should continue forever. I do have some Fantastic Four tea, Brett. I heard that Matt Shackman is very insistent on being comics accurate, even down to making sure he casts a Jewish actor as Ben Grimm. So I think that's great. They're still casting. It's not cast yet. They're still working on it. Danny Dumphy says, do you think Warner's is nervous that if they put the movies directly on streaming, they'll face similar lawsuits like the Disney ScarJo situation? I don't know, Danny. I mean, they canceled Batgirl. So I think that they don't care. You know? I think they're like, I mean, Warner Brothers obviously doesn't care about that kind of stuff. And they didn't get sued. Capes and Tight says, does Cavill have any chance to be Bond? It's looking not good. Nicholas says, hi, he's a much better choice in my opinion. Nicholas says, hi Grace, I wanted to share with you that I've finally been a member for 2 years. Yes, look at your diamond status. Oh, I'm glad I make your days better. That makes me feel so nice. You just made my day better. Tammy says, oh, hey Tammy, Grace, if Robert Downey was given a second chance and gave us an iconic Iron Man, why can't Ezra be given the same chance? Oh, that's interesting. I can see where you would draw the comparison, but Robert Downey Jr. really only hurt himself. There was that instance where he crawled into someone else's house, went into someone else's house and I think he actually went into a miner's bed, but like Marty McFly did in Back to the Future too. He just thought he was in his own home. And so I think the issue is that Robert Downey Jr. only hurt himself, whereas Ezra Miller he's been accused of giving hallucinatory substances to underage, minors. That's very serious. So I think that's the issue. Tech Noir video says, meaning she was M for Craig and Brosnan. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. No, they got to get rid of everybody. Because here's the thing. It'll forever be just every fan of Henry Cavill will look at the person who got to stay and it will make them incensed every single time they see them. And that's what they have to avoid. Eli says, hey Grace, I'm really looking forward to your review of The Last of Us as a big fan of the game. Did you ever get a chance to watch the game scenes? I did not watch the cutscenes, but I have been looking into the history of the game to try and see what they changed. And that's all I can say about it because I don't want to get in trouble. The review embargo for The Last of Us lifts at 3 a.m. on Tuesday. So like on Monday night at 3 a.m. into Tuesday, that's when it lifts. For some reason, I don't know why that's when it lifts. That's going to be a crazy night. I got to do the Quantum Mania trailer reaction, breakdown, and then at 3 a.m. I'll post the Last of Us review. I'm excited for The Last of Us. It looks like a difficult show to break down though week to week, I have to say. Dana O'Leary says, Grace, what do you think of Rahul Kohli for Reed? I like Rahul Kohli. I think that's an interesting choice. I think he'd be a good choice. I like some of the other people they're talking to better though. Ice Rhino says, Grace, let's focus on the important DC stuff, please. What are your thoughts on Leslie Grace's pics of her batsuit? It's never going to come back. I think that you're not helping yourselves going back and looking at these things, I can see why it's difficult for you, but it's just never going to happen. And so I think we can't Snyder cut everything. Mika, I thought the Renfield trailer looked okay. It looked like I feel like I've seen it before. Although I'm such a big fan of Nicholas Hoult and Awkwafina, I'm there. Max Rolo says, I remember seeing 2017's Wonder Woman. So incredible. It's a shame. I agree. It was incredible. Zay, I'm sorry I don't have any Little Mermaid tea. All I know is that we're getting a new trailer this month. Alexander Wilson says, Zaslav isn't a fan of streaming. He said it's difficult to actually make money from streaming. Well, then he's doing it wrong. Because Disney and Netflix are making an awful lot off of it. You can't say that. I don't understand how Zazie can make a comment like that when I can literally point to somebody who's in the same space making gabillions of dollars. Gabillions. Rashad Muhammad says, Grace, do you... Rashad, I'm glad you liked the shout out I gave you for The Price is Right the other day. Grace, do you think later down the line Gunn can do a Secret Wars type of movie for DC and bring back Cavill's Superman and or Affleck's Batman? Maybe like 10 years from now, yes. But I think that they need to stop because then people are going to be like, oh, let's make a full movie with them. And it's just never going to end. Norwegian Kryptonian says, I feel like the DCEU has been soft rebooting since Batman v Superman and hasn't worked out. The main audience has rejected them. They need a clean reboot. That's true. And congrats on your diamond. It looks good on you. Kayla says, will there be Iris in the new... Iris West? I don't think so. I don't... maybe. I haven't heard about... if so, in a very small capacity. Interestingly, The Flash is a movie about mental health. Guto Ruiz says, are there many real Henry Cavill fans? I think there are. Did I miss some super chats? Hold on, let me look. Max says, if Gaga Windsor gets nominated for her Harley, what do you think that'll mean for the character? Well, let's just see the character first. I thought Lady Gaga did an incredible job in Gucci, and she didn't go anywhere with that. I don't think I missed any super chats. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I did. Michael says, any Eternals 2 news? Nope, nothing. Amy, homesick with the flu. Stay safe, everyone. Oh, Amy, I'm sorry. I hope you're still doing well. Amy, of course, is doing a wonderful job staying sober and had a really wonderful share with us right before the holidays, Amy. That really stuck with me. Red Arrow says, so thank you, Gigi, for making sure I saw these. Red Arrow says, hey, Grace, been a member for years. Do you think that Marvel will slow down after such a saturated past few years? I, for one, want them to slow down. I hope so, but it's going to take a little time for them to slow down because these stuff's already been greenlit. Xtina says, Grace, I've waited for years to hear you speak about two of my all-time favorite people, Anna Paquin and Christina Aguilera. Can we get a burlesque watch-along? That's fun. I really like Anna Paquin. I liked her on True Blood quite a bit, and I felt she maybe could have delivered a good rogue if given the chance. Christina Aguilera, she's a legend, but I don't know that much about her. I'm not a personal fan of her music, but I certainly do respect her. And then World of Devon says, Grace, have you seen American Gangster with Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington by Ridley Scott? I did see that. I thought it was medium, but I loved Prisoners with Hugh Jackman. Love that movie. Love it. But that's tough to get through. I remember when I saw it, I saw the press screening, loved it, went again with family because I was like, this movie's so good. And I saw people walking out on the public screening. I was like, no, you're missing the good stuff. Benji also, I'm sorry, no Little Mermaid news. And Michael says, how goes the no sugar month? I'm on day 4 and considering checking couch cushions for lost M&Ms. Thanks for doing it with me, Michael. I'm doing good. Luckily, I found other snacks that I like. Cherries are also a good thing because they're sweet, but they're fruit. I'm doing pretty good so far. Let's see here. And then Alexander Wilson helped clarify the Judi Dench situation. And then Kevin Cisneros says, Kevin Feige should cast the Squadron Supreme from Zack Snyder's Justice League. he doesn't want that drama, I don't think. All right, I think I'm all caught up now. All right, let me see. Who did I miss? Ooh, let's see here. Brandon says, hey, Grace, my boyfriend and I will be in your neck of the woods in March. Any recommendations on things to do, places to eat that aren't so touristy? I don't know. I love the touristy stuff. So I would just kind of go exploring downtown. Oh, Dancing Dog 60. Grapes are a good recommendation. I just kind of exploring in the village, and, I think you'll come across some really wonderful places. Justin Simpson says, Grace, will you do a review of Knock at the Cabin? Maybe I will. I might. Logan says, should DC just forgo the origin story approach like Marvel and just start the new DC with established Justice League characters? Totally agree on that. Totally agree. We know all these characters' origins already. Super Rooter says, what has Ezra actually been charged with? That's complicated. I don't want to levy any charges at Ezra Miller, but I think the chatter around him is pretty bad. I think particularly involving minors. Alexander Wilson says Disney hasn't made any money on streaming either. But that's because, they're just getting started. No one can deny that Netflix is. So if Netflix can do it, anyone could do it. Netflix doesn't have some special thing that makes them make money and not other people. Vabesta says, Grace, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Do you think Batista has a chance to be a serious actor? I bet he does jump to DC, quite frankly, although that would just totally negate all the comments he just made. As I said at the beginning of the stream, I think that he could be a serious actor if he finds the script himself. He has to do it himself. He can't have somebody else come in there and make his dreams come true. Elliot says, I heard The Little Mermaid did very well during public test screenings at a high score and people loved it. Yes, I've heard this. I haven't heard it from a source, but I did see that headline. And then Cosmic says, Grace, do you think DC needs to find a speaker? I hate bringing stuff like this up, but what's happening is very interesting. What do you mean find a speaker? Guto Ruiz says, but what would the Cavill fan base be enough to hurt DC? No, I don't think that they are enough to hurt DC. And then Whelm says, I don't watch a lot of Apple TV, but I did recently start The Foundation. Have you seen it? It's basically a sci-fi Game of Thrones. No, I did not see that. I don't know if it's been renewed, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. And Brendan, I don't have any news out of Scream 6 trailer, I'm afraid. Nuno, I did not watch Kaleidoscope, but it has such poor audience reviews, and some friends of mine tried it and didn't care for it, so I'm not going to go do it. Mika, I'm going to watch Mosquito Coast, but I have not watched season 2 just yet. I've been very busy with holiday stuff and then stuff for work. The Last of Us episodes are long, and so that took a lot of time. I did do it in 2 nights, though. They gave me 4 episodes, and I watched them the other night before and then the next night. Max Keto says, Eva Green as Wonder Woman. I think at a time she would have been good casting, but not anymore. Keith says, is there any chance that Liv Tyler will return as Betty Ross? I heard she was in talks. She better return. If they're bringing back everybody else from that movie, they better bring her back. Mika says, is Gal smart not to comment about Patty and Gunn? Yes, that's a good point, Mika. I think she's brilliant not to do that. I think she's going to see if she can maybe, let's see if she promotes Shazam 2. Whelm says the Foundation Season 2 was announced yesterday. Oh, that's great. Then it is worth your time to watch. Gallia Productions, I told you everything I know about Fantastic Four right now. I guess I don't want to tell you that. I told you, I've hinted very strongly at some of the actors they've met with. They've met with a lot of actors, though. Domino says, hey, Grace, any rumors on Wiccan and Agatha? Any word on costume or plot information? I think it's going to be Children's Crusade to a degree. Bye, Guto Ruiz. Elliot says, I enjoyed the menu, Grace. I should have had a cheeseburger. I told you. If you watch the menu, eat a cheeseburger. You're going to regret it. Damani, I thought the new Evil Dead trailer looked good. You know, I'm not a big horror fan, but it looked very atmospheric. Marvelous Jack, I'm sorry. I don't have any black cat tea for you. All right, I'll do I'll do like 3 more questions. Haunted Autumn says, my last super chat got skipped, so here's another. Oh, thank you. Did I not see your other one, Haunted Autumn? I thought that I did. Hey, Prince Connor, what's up with you? Oh, Marduk. The menu is pretty violent, but it's good. I don't think it's that violent. Oh, Cosmic says the Speaker of the House. Well, isn't that kind of James Gunn? Isn't James Gunn the Speaker of the House for DC now? Jeffrey Lane says, Grace, do you think the DC The Question TV series would be good? And next $2 billion for... Let's see if Avatar 2 makes $2 billion. That would be impressive. I think that they should focus on their movies right now over at DC and not television shows. Oh, Randolph G. I'm sorry. That's Randolph G's real name. I'm so glad that you watched Puss in Boots and enjoyed it. It's so good. Nuno says James Cameron hinted at a Na'vi fire tribe in Avatar 3. Yeah, it's very Avatar The Last Airbender. I will agree with that. Technoir Video thinks that Avatar is going to get to close to 2.5 to 3 billion. Let's see. Mika says, why is Spider-Man 4 taking so long? I think they want to take a break, which is smart, and I think they have to renegotiate Tom Holland's contract. And so I think that's kind of like the situation there. I mean, they just made... I think they want to give it a little bit of a break. Also, the Spider-Man characters are going to factor very heavily into Secret Wars. So I think that, they want to... I think it's going to be hard to do anything before that anyway. So they don't have to really rush. Just Josh, I don't think Uncharted hurt Tom Holland. It did pretty good. I think he was very good in the role. Let's see here. Brett says, is there any chance they move Aquaman 2 up to get the slate over with? Also, thanks for the birthday wish yesterday. Oh, my pleasure, Brett. And that's right. Your birthday's on, Saturday, right? I think that, let's see, the first DC movie will be Shazam 2, but that's not a great test. So let's see. If these movies are just completely bombing, then they might try and do something different with Aquaman. Because, should they continue to spend more money to advertise the films? Hey, Ryan, Happy New Year to you, too. And then Manpreet says, then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. That's right. Let's see here. 80s model. I've seen the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie. I have seen it, but I don't remember it at all. Max Keto. I think Jenna Ortega as Zatanna is too similar to Wednesday. And Subasisto says, Grace, what happens if the 2023 DC slate overperforms? I think that's so unlikely to happen. I think it's really unlikely to happen, quite frankly. I think audiences are tired of that universe. Thomas says, Grace, did you see my super chat? I saw Avatar last night and it sold out premium 3D theater. It was incredible. I thought the rain was real. It is very real. The second time I saw it, there was a child in the theater and I heard them ask very loudly to their parent, is it raining? Because it did seem like it was raining. Did I miss more super chats? I don't think so. All right, let's see here. Raymond says, why is Shazam 2 the weakest? Why not the strongest? Because it's performed the weakest of the group so far with the first movie, because it's a sequel. And then Colby says, hey, Grace, what directors do you think Gunn will pick for DCEU projects? Been watching BTT for 11 years now. You're my... that's so kind of you. Thank you, Colby. Nice Diamond member status. That's the big question. Will Gunn pick the best directors for the job, or will he pick all of his friends? That's another test for him that we'll see. Let's see here. Hi, KJ. Let's see here. And then Kevin says that he thinks Shazam 2 will be the best out of the slate. Let's see. Let's see. All right, everybody. Shashank says, let's see how they play at San Diego Comic-Con. Let's see if Warner Brothers pays to go to there and do that presentation. And if they will spend the time on those movies, or instead will they be, focusing on Gunn's films. I mean, make no mistake, if they go to, next time they're at San Diego Comic-Con, James Gunn's going to want to run that panel like Kevin Feige runs Marvel. And so I think it's very unlikely that he's going to want to focus on those other movies. So let's see. Holden says, saw Babylon last night in an empty theater. It was so gross and messed up for no reason. Painful to watch Robbie run her career into the ground. I'm sorry, yeah. I know some people enjoyed it, but most people do not care for it. All right, I'm so glad I was able to do a live stream today. I had a wonderful time with you as always. And live streams will return as normal next week. So, and I do have a video planned for tomorrow. But thank you, everybody. Welcome to the new year. And I think we got a lot going on already. All right, talk to you soon, everybody. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.